Greetings and salutations.
Hey guys, it's Sam from After the Bars. How are you doing today? Happy 4th of July. Wow. We actually have a lot of news today. I wasn't even planning on really doing a show today. But I woke up, my back was in a lot of pain, but I woke up and I finally grabbed my phone and hit YouTube. And there's just a lot of stories happening today. Nothing really anything that ever would affect us, as a community or, as, news watchers, nothing too emotional, just a lot of surface issues. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. Make sure my microphone's on. But stuff that I wanted to talk about. And so that's pretty badass. Hopefully you guys are all doing good today. We're going to talk a little bit about Cesar Chavez. He just got in a fight with, he just did a fight with Jake Paul the other night, and Jake Paul beat him. That's not really my thing. I don't really watch that stuff too much, but it was a pretty big deal. Now Jake Paul is, he's going to be ranked in the boxing world, and there's a lot of controversy about that. But that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the guy he fought, which is one of the most prolific boxers of the world's son. And who actually happened to be a pretty decent boxer himself, Cesar Chavez Jr. ICE arrested him in Los Angeles yesterday. It was a pretty big deal. But he just happens to have some, allegedly has some ties to the cartel in Sinaloa. He's has warrants in Mexico and here, and he was just on one of the biggest stages in the world boxing Jake Paul on Saturday. So that's kind of a big deal. Also, one of the Diddy jurors came out to speak, and we're gonna talk about that first. What else? What other topics do I have today? Carmelo Anthony. I have a topic about Carmelo. What his camp is doing. I covered a lot of that when it first happened, but I kind of took a break from it. And then we're going to talk about if we think that Diddy will do time in federal prison or where he'll do time. And then some Iranian news. We might get to that. We might not get to that. But that's what we have going on today on the After the Bars podcast. I will be right back.
This will always be who I am.
Texting more come in, and I see something that's important. How important it's going to be that everyone can hear me today. All right. Well, let's check in with the chat first this morning. Let's see how everyone is doing. Happy birthday, John Lazan. It's John's birthday today. That's amazing. Or it was his birthday yesterday, but today I think he's just now realizing he's 50 years old. Happy birthday, John. It's good to see you. So thank you so much for your support, brother. I really appreciate you. My other keeper. Hey, Kim, hopefully you're feeling better today. Well, better than you were a week ago. And I did get your message or email. I can't remember if it was a text or email. I agree. We do need to do something soon. It's been a long time since I've seen your face, and it would be really awesome to check in with you. James Collins cares. Happy birthday. James Collins cares. How are you doing today? Thank you so much, brother, for being here. And thank you to all the moderators. I appreciate your help. I know it's been hit and miss when we're going to do a show, when we're not going to do a show. I don't have like a set time. Like really, this show should have happened at 9 o'clock this morning. I I promise you, and I know we kind of got rid of that word promise, but I assure you, starting next week on Monday, it'll be every morning between 9 and 10. I'm thinking we're probably going to shoot for 10 o'clock because if I shoot for 9, I know, getting Hazley settled, ready, watching TV or doing whatever, taking care of the family stuff. I know for sure I can have that all done by 10. So maybe we'll shoot for 10, but I'd like for it to be 9 o'clock. But anyways, I apologize to the moderators that I haven't been able to do that. But the channels has some momentum right now, and I want to be consistent. I want to be consistent with the times, with the content that we're doing, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. I'm seeing some light at the end of the tunnel financially with all the things that I've been going through. Because my thumb is healing. Look, I have just a regular Band-Aid on it now, and that's pretty amazing. So, all right, James, good to see you. Cliff Ann Ferguson, so good to see you. Crystal Phoenix Rising, hey, how are you doing today? Shell Dub, how are you doing today? Good to see you. James Collins says, today was pretty much the last strawberry harvest. I grew 59 kilos this year. That's like 118 pounds of strawberry. Imagine that. Imagine how many strawberries it takes to make a pound. Oh, I guess it depends on the size, but yeah, that's amazing, John or James. Sorry, I keep calling you John. And yeah, that's amazing, James. Super amazing. Shell W, hey, how's it going today? Good to see you. Doing it Deb's way. Happy 4th of July to you also. Good to see you. No, it's today. I'm born on the 4th of July. Oh, wow. Wow. I guess that doesn't mean too much to you as being a Canadian, but it's still kind of a cool thing, right, John? Yeah, that's pretty cool. But happy 4th of July to everybody. I'm so glad you guys are here stopping in on the podcast, on the show this morning. I know you guys have probably plans with family. We don't have too many plans today. One of the main places that shoots off fireworks here, they are it's their last year, I was just informed, and so we might go check that out. We're not really a firework family. Hazley hates the explosions. Mariana hates the explosions. They both get really overstimulated from the fireworks, so we don't really participate in that too much. I do have a bag of fireworks I bought last year that's been sitting in my closet, so hopefully I can get rid of those and make some room in my closet. They've been there all year. I've moved them from there to the storage closet to my clothing closet. They've sat in the living room for a little bit. It's just like this big 30-gallon bag of fireworks. I even have some like M80s in my, my side door in my truck, in the compartment in the side door. It's crazy. It's crazy. I've been holding on to those for a whole year. So hopefully I can get rid of those this year. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of those this year. If I don't use them, maybe I'll just give them to my neighbor. They are like a family that could always use a hand up here and there. Not that fireworks is a hand up, but they're really sweet people, and we worry about them sometimes. Anyways, M80. Do you know what M80 is, John Lazon? It's like a little mini explosive. They're illegal in some states. Some kids back in the 70s and 80s blew off their fingers. So they're kind of illegal in some states. They're not illegal here in Montana. Of course they're not. You can basically almost have any kind of weapon or explosive here that's not, federally illegal. A lot of states have bans, personal state bans on a lot of things regarding firearms or types of, springs and all that stuff. I don't know a lot about that stuff, so I shouldn't even try to speak on it. But yeah, it's nuts. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anyone. Make sure we got time. Check the time. All right. Well, let's check out this juror and what he has to say. I haven't watched it, so I'm going to be reacting with you guys at the same time. So let's check this out. And can anyone just give me a 5x5 after I start it? That way we don't get too far into the video and you guys can't hear it.
Juror who was in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. George is joining us right now. This was 7 weeks of your life, hearing all of this testimony. You were an alternate. You did not deliberate, but did you agree with the final verdict?
Thank you, James.
I understood the final verdict. And I think if I, because I took a copious amount of notes overall, like 350 pages worth of notes. Because at the end, we weren't told who was an alternate, who was the main juror until literally the last second when they were reading when the judge was reading his entire statement at the end. It was like the first 12 of you are the jurors, the last 5 are the alternates. So we didn't know, even in the jury room, no one treated everyone, we all were equal because we didn't know who was who.
Would you have acquitted him on RICO?
I think reading all my notes and looking back at the evidence, I probably would have reached the same conclusion as the other jurors.
What was it about that charge?
I don't, the thing with the because we were.
Can I just make a prediction real quick? I bet you she's gonna, and my hand to God, I haven't seen this yet. I bet you she's gonna because it's CNN, they're gonna try to she's gonna try to put him in a gotcha spot. Like, what, you didn't see that this evidence? You guys got it wrong. Which I believe they 1000% got it wrong too. But I bet you she's gonna try to get him into a spot to make him feel bad or you guys don't know what you're doing or something like that. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Asked, and the judge had instructed us that we have to find.
Hey, Darcy. Okay, I'll turn him off right now.
We have to find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Mm-hmm. And I think there was always a little bit of doubt in people's mind. And I think it was a tough case to prove, especially the first one. And there was always a little bit of doubt there, even from the beginning.
Why did you doubt?
I think some of the charges, some of the witnesses, if you look at it one way, but then when you were listening to the defense, you could see it their way as well.
Were there any witnesses that made you think, I don't believe this?
There was one that I think unanimously we kind of all said wow, it was almost like watching TV. It was like when I think her name was Dawn Richard, that one. Mm-hmm. When she on cross-examination, I never saw such a cross-examination. It was very impressive to watch.
What was it about it?
I think just how the defense, got into her and really made her, look very not credible. I even wrote in my notebook that it was like a takedown.
Really? And that was pretty early on.
That was pretty early on.
From the opening statements, did you have a mindset of who you thought had a better case?
No. I think overall, from the way I look at it, both sides presented really good. Both sides presented themselves well. We were very impressed with the prosecution and the defense, how they, the professionalism, how they carried themselves. It was really good lawyering, as they say.
Racketeering is notoriously a complex case. Did you feel that the prosecution presented enough evidence to support that there was even an enterprise?
I think they did the best that they could, but I think it was a tough case to prove.
Why?
When you look at the charges, kidnapping, arson, forced labor, the government had one side, but then the defense, they had some pretty good rebuttals to it. So I mean that I think added some.
Right, because the defense didn't even put on a case. Their case was the rebuttal, was the cross-examination, which blows me away in a sense. They felt pretty confident that they didn't need to put on any witnesses, which in turn, I just wonder, like, the prosecution. They just didn't do enough. If the defense, and there's some smart lawyers, they're very expensive, smart lawyers, figured that they didn't have to put on, let's just say for like the RICO, for to showing an enterprise at Bad Boy Records is what basically what they tried to do. They could have brought on lots of other employees that would do or say anything that Diddy told them to do, that probably still work there because they want to keep their jobs. They could have lined them up and said, no, man, it's always been an awesome working environment. They didn't feel like they needed to do any of that, because basically they're saying that Bad Boy Records was the enterprise that was committing these crimes, that everyone was in collusion to coerce, like artists to for all the sexual stuff, to hold them captive for these freak offs, and much more, and much more. So I don't know. I mean, we all know and believe that Diddy is a big POS, that he was doing those things. But I just feel like, the defense could have brought on a line of people that could have either lied or just, they weren't involved in that stuff and just said, nope, never seen anything like it. So it is bizarre that, that the prosecution thought that they had enough to prove that. And I mean, you can just tell by what this juror is saying. He's like, I don't know, like, the rebuttal was good. They didn't even need to bring on anybody. It just blows me away. This big of a trial with all the promises from the U.S. Attorney's Office of what they could prove just fell flat. And, but like I said yesterday, let's keep our eyes out for a superseding indictment, something that's going to be explosive on the in the news media world. When it happens, it's going to be explosive. It's going to be like, oh, so that's why.
Doubt always, and I think in people's mind.
You didn't hear from some of the people the government said were co-conspirators, like employees,
like Christina Karam, and
example, or D-Rock. Yeah. Did that affect your thoughts about the case? I don't think so. No. Would you have wanted to hear from them?
What? Sorry, guys. Sorry to interrupt the jurors interview. Yeshua Protected, and I love that screen name, says when they file the new charges, he'll be going in as a convicted felon. Makes a difference. Man, I didn't think of that. I wish I would have thought of that yesterday, that he or she is absolutely right. When and that could have been, I don't want to say part of the plan, because they really did try to prove the RICO. I mean, they could have tried harder, but now his points at the top, remember how I was showing in the guidelines on that sheet, his points at the top, instead of a 1, will most likely be a 2. So the sentencing guidelines will be considerably more. And it would be 2 felonies. So yeah, he will go to a 2. I think 1 is between 1 and 3. Yeah, he still might be a 1, but it'll still make a difference. It'll still make a difference. I want to make sure that I'm giving the right information, so I'm going to check that out later, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But yeah, that's a very astute observation. Thank you, Yeshua.
We always thought that maybe we would hear from them, but maybe we also understood maybe why they wouldn't be called.
Why? Because
maybe they didn't want to testify, or they wouldn't really be proving the case, or maybe it would be not advantageous to be called. So But honestly, we were just waiting till the end, until when the judge gave his instructions and how to interpret the law. Because I think everyone really didn't have anything made up, their mind made up, or in any way. It was really, everyone was waiting to see how the definitions and how everything was going to be interpreted, and what they were to be looked at. Exactly.
So important.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the sex trafficking cases, because of court charges. Obviously, Cassie Ventura testified visibly pregnant for days.
Yes.
How did her testimony impact you in your understanding of the case?
It did. I listened. We listened very intently. It was, I think, 5 days or forever of thing, and it was very riveting. And it was very riveting testimony, and very credible testimony.
You believed her.
I mean, I think we did. I think we did. I mean, she wouldn't have done all this just to come up there and lie about everything. So no, I don't think even the defense didn't come out and say or anything like that.
Did the money that they talked about in terms of a civil settlement she received, did that color her testimony for you at all?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. No.
Did you look at the defendant, Diddy Combs, differently after her testimony?
No, I didn't really look at him too much. I mean, I always looked at him because my point of view was just literally at him.
That's not what she means, dude.
Some people are on the side, but I was more in the corner. So I was always staring at him. But I don't think he was mostly just very composed and talking with his lawyers, and
that's not what she meant, brother.
In control, it seemed like. Because I think I'm not really familiar too much with cases, and I don't really follow cases in court, so I don't know how defendants usually act. But sometimes what I've heard in from the news is that some defendants, they just sit very stoically. They don't interact with their lawyers. They just let their lawyers talk and go. But he was very talking with them, writing notes, doing that. So you could tell that he was fighting for himself.
You saw some very graphic images, videos. You heard very sexual and graphic details. What was that like, hearing that? And how did it impact how you viewed the case?
No, they were very graphic. And but I think overall, we were looking at it from one side, and it was definitely riveting and eye-opening.
What did you see on the videos? The press wasn't able to see it in real time.
Yeah. No, I mean, they were showing some of there was both the freak-offs and hotel nights, as they were called, from both of them. But it was,
you can tell he didn't want to say freak-offs. He was like the freak-offs, as they were called. Yeah, he had to quantify it.
Videos. They showed, well, again, the defense and the prosecution showed different clips, so they were very selective. The prosecution was showing more, just Cassie just sitting around.
The defense showed that.
Defense showed that, yeah.
Just her sitting around, not engaging in sexual activity.
Yes.
The prosecution, when you had to have your headphones on, and otherwise, what were you seeing then?
There was sexual activity, but I mean, it wasn't really.
How uncomfortable and bizarre that was.
It didn't seem forced. It was actually pretty tame.
Really?
Yeah.
Did she?
It was just a lot of rubbing oil and stuff on there. It wasn't anything too graphic. I would say.
Let me ask you, this jury that deliberated did not find sex trafficking when it came to Cassie Ventura. They also didn't find it when it came to Jane. And I want to ask you about Jane in a moment. But did it surprise you when it came to Cassie Ventura that they did not convict on sex trafficking?
No, I think it was a difficult thing to prove, and I think there was always some doubt, whether, because I think what the judge says, it has to be forced And I think the defense did show some messages where it didn't seem that it was forced.
Oh, her text messages when she talked about it.
Yeah.
That was really important to you to consider.
I think that was one aspect. Yes.
Did that make you feel that it was consensual?
It did seem like it. Yeah.
Talk to me about.
It's because they just. I mean, that's the whole thing. They aren't aware. And I don't know even if they did bring in someone to explain the psychological aspect of the trauma bonding, because the way that our laws are written, it has to be based on fact. Now we all believe trauma bonding. I've experienced trauma bonding myself. I have tons of friends that have experienced trauma bonding. And it's probably just such a hard thing to explain, but they didn't even get a chance to. And I do think things would have been different, although legally, I don't know. I mean, that's why they couldn't bring it in, because of it's just so much theory. Although we all know it to be true, that they just, they couldn't, introduce it. And it sucks. So hopefully these superseding indictments will be a lot different. Hey, Jeannie Wright, it's good to see you. Nicole Luongo, hey, how are you? Thompson, hey, how are you today? Shannon Trim's in the house. How are you doing, Shannon? Also, Jeannie Wright, I have your email opened, and I will respond to it today. So expect something before 3:00 today. I did see your thing where you asked, do I ever open my emails? I've been having some anxiety about emails. Anyways, I've already talked about that, but I am going to just pump up my my confidence and get to the emails. Shannon Trim in with the 10 bomb. Thank you so much. Happy 4th of July to you too. I really appreciate the super chat. It's very, very, I'm grateful. Thank you so much. All right, let's get back to it.
Even in the videos and everything seemed very consensual.
Really?
Yeah.
How about with Jane? Obviously, she testified for several days, very emotional at times.
It was. Yeah.
What did you think of her credibility? Did you believe her?
I think it was very again, riveting, long testimony. And I did believe her, at least on some parts. Some parts were a little bit didn't add up as much. Seemed a little strange.
What part seemed strange to you?
He wants to say he didn't believe her.
Well, one part for me that seemed a little strange was the night, I think, when Jane was in, when they had the fight.
Yeah.
It just, the timing seemed a little like you going from like one closet to another closet to the, it just, something didn't add up there.
How about the impact when you heard that her rent was being paid or her lawyer is being paid by the defendant? Did that surprise you? That
was surprising, yeah, and it was still being paid.
What did you think when you heard that?
Wow, it was surprising.
I want to ask you as well about, obviously I'm talking about Diddy as if I know him. Like we know his name because he's, this very famous person. Did the fact that he was so famous, did that impact you in any way? Did you know him?
No, I did not know him.
Did you know his music at all?
No, I didn't really listen to his music.
So seeing him was just a stranger.
Pretty much. I know of him, and I know, but I don't really follow his music or the rap industry in general. So that might have been why. I think a lot of the jurors, I think if you look at their backgrounds, I don't think they were, they didn't follow this or that. That's probably why they were chosen. I was never expected to be chosen, to be honest.
Yeah, well,
I wasn't even looking for this at all.
Who would be, right?
Exactly.
But let me ask you, the other jurors, when you would talk to them, I know you weren't allowed to deliberate at all in this, but when you talk to them, were they familiar with who he was? Did his celebrity status seem to impact them at all?
No, No, I don't think so. No, I think everyone was really waiting for the interpretation of the law. And
Is that because you were confused about the case, or because you just wanted to know your marching orders?
I think we wanted to know our marching orders and how we need to look at everything. I think we were really, I think, at least for me, we want to be, and we are asked to be as impartial as possible. So we needed to know, you hear both sides of, one side, the other side. And it's very important to know what we're actually supposed to be, ruling at, and how we're supposed to be looking at it from the judge.
There was a juror who was excused close to the end of the trial. What did you know about that, and why?
We weren't told, what happened. I mean, I think someone had mentioned that it was, I think he lied about where he was from or something like that. But really, we were kind of kept in like isolation from like the whole day, not really told much, told to not, follow any news or turn off everything. Don't talk to anyone. Don't talk among yourselves about the case, which we followed. We really followed the judge's instructions. At least I did too.
So when that
speak for
person,
myself,
yeah,
most of the
well,
time.
when that person was no longer in the chair after seeing them there for 7 weeks on end, or however many weeks it was in at that point, did you think it was odd? Did you have concerns?
No. I mean, that's why they have, they call 18 people, because then they knew it was a long case, and there's probably going to be someone's going to get sick or someone's going to drop out. So that's why. So
would you have wanted to hear Diddy testify? Would it have made a difference to you?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
It wouldn't have made a difference because it wouldn't have added to your understanding, or because you'd heard enough?
I think we heard enough. I don't.
Well, I mean, and basically
Sorry,
guys. And basically all Diddy would have said was, I didn't do nothing, no, I was in love with her, and and this was just, kinky sex, you can't judge me by my bedroom activity. And you even heard like they weren't even shown anything that was vicious. And I don't know why that was chosen. He said it was the prosecution, what they showed was pretty tame and bland, and didn't seem, all of us here on YouTube, we've all heard these crazy stories from like Jaguar Wright and all the people who have all these theories and judgment, and so do I. Like, I believe he's a deviant, sexually, criminally, and he deserves to be put away for life. I think he's a monster. But it's crazy that they didn't show anything that would show his violent nature, except for the CNN video that came out with Cassie. It just blows me away. And there is no federal charge for domestic violence. That's a state crime. So it just blows me away that he was never charged in the state. He was never charged federally. And, I get it in the state, Cassie needs to file the charges against him. But in most states, if there's evidence like that, like a video that's so violent, they can, the state can pick up the charge, because they understand witness intimidation. They understand people who are in love won't want to see their loved one go to prison, even though they, had the crap beat out of them. It's all very complicated.
Of helped or hindered. I haven't really thought about that as much.
Yeah.
But I think it was really helpful, again, in the end, at least for what we were looking forward to. What I was looking forward to the most was just the 61-page judge instructions of how we're supposed to be charged the law.
They did find him guilty of those transportation to engage in prostitution charges. The prosecution was being very sarcastic and laughing at the idea that these men were just being paid for their time. How did you see that statement?
You mean the defense?
Mm-hmm. Well, the prosecution said that, well, yes, you're right. The defense said that they were being paid for the time. The prosecution was mocking that. Who did you believe?
No, I think the evidence to show that there was the transportation of prostitution, I think was overwhelming, and that's why the jury found him guilty on those two counts.
If you had been,
Because the prosecution, not only they showed the hotel records, the bank records, the flight information. For that, I think that they proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt.
If for some reason you were to ever talk to Diddy, what would you tell him about how you saw this trial?
Really quick, Nicole asks, Sam, did you know anyone like P. Dirty, sexual deviant monster in prison? I actually did not know anybody like that. And I've talked about this before, the politics as it stands in the federal prisons, especially the high security ones, like where I was at, and everything's run on race. So I'm not trying to be, this isn't a racial or racist comments, but like the white guys, the way that they clean the cars is what they call it. And so we don't allow anyone like that to come onto the yard. They get smashed, they get beat up, they get literally stomped out if anyone tries to come onto the yard that has those kind of charges. And we all get looked at. Like, it's not like we can just come there and hide out. You have to show your charges, your paperwork, as it is. And yeah, if anyone has those charges, because some guys don't know, they just come on the yard and be like, oh yeah, I'm here for this, and they instantly get smashed and they get sent into protective custody. So I guess I just lied. I have seen some guys come onto the yard, but they didn't last very long. I guess that's what I mean to say. Yep. And with the other cars, the other races, I do believe that, like, the African Americans, they do, like those black gangs, they do allow some R and SA guilty defendants come to the yard. It just depends, but never kids. So like even if it was like kids or something to do with kids, and it was even in another race, and like say the Mexicans found out, or the white boys found out, we would make those cars get rid of them, or else we would do it. So it's all ugly. It's all just ugly. That's why I will never ever go back, ever. I keep my nose clean as a whistle. That's why I don't partake in drugs anymore. I don't commit crimes at all. I never really committed any crimes except for drug dealing and counterfeiting one time, but it was to pay for, my girlfriend's drugs. But it's super ugly. I can't remember which juror this is, Nicole. I really don't.
To be honest, I really wouldn't want to talk to him or anyone associated with that.
No, it's not juror 25, the guy that was kicked out.
My side of the story, but I really wouldn't want to, associate with him or any of the people that are with him.
Can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
And it's about the video from the Intercontinental Hotel that you saw a lot.
Yeah, it was.
Was it a? Did you see it?
Sometimes they did it like frame by frame by frame.
What did you think of that? Did you see it enough? Too much? Too little? What?
I mean, it was.
Sorry,
it was
guys.
a very bad video.
I'm sorry, I didn't know this.
I think they showed it. I think they showed it enough. I mean, they tried to show it both sides, and
did it make a difference to you in the actual charges that you would have had to deliberate over? Because he wasn't charged with.
He wasn't charged with domestic violence. No.
Did that surprise you?
No, because I don't think domestic violence is a federal crime. So.
Did it cloud the way you saw the rest of the charges by seeing that video?
No, I think we looked at just what we were supposed to be, what the judge had said we were supposed to look at, and then based off of the evidence that was presented to us, they ruled in that way.
Do you think he should go to prison?
That's for the judge to decide. I mean, he was
Come
found
on,
guilty
buddy.
on both counts. So we're the sentencing is not up to us.
Mhm.
It's not up to me. It's up to the judge, who was by the way, we were all impressed with the judge and how he was. So that the jury, I can't speak for the jury because I was an alternate,
Mhm.
but I think we all really much liked the judge on this case. We found him to be very fair, very stern. He was no nonsense, but the way he conducted himself, at least from what we saw, because again, we only saw the beginning, and they always had, when they had sidebars, they would have the white noise, so
Mhm.
couldn't actually hear what's being discussed. But we were always impressed with the judge.
Hundreds of pages of notes, weeks of trial. Thank you for telling us what you were thinking.
No problem. Thank you.
Well, I'm impressed with that interviewer. She kept it professional and kept it real, and so I'm super impressed with her. So I apologize for my prediction earlier. Let's go over to News Nation and check out. They did a story called "Will Diddy Do Time in Federal Prison?" I haven't watched this either, so I'm really interested in what they have on Jesse Cord Weber from Law and Crime, and I just love him, man. He's amazing. So let's check that out real quick.
To say that Sean Diddy Combs won't have something to celebrate tomorrow, more than a lot of people, maybe.
Real quick, John says my only crime is inconsistency. Yep, and I apologize to you guys. It's gonna get better. I know I've said it before, but my if I could have just kept working and not had to retire because of my back from tattooing, and then of course my thumb, because I started doing construction. But the thumb was a blessing in disguise because when I did go do my back injections, like I'm going in for a whole ton of x-rays this week. And so, yeah, because my back is trashed. The injections aren't working anymore. So I definitely did something more to my back. And so it was probably a blessing in disguise that I didn't really, really hurt myself. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out this retirement thing. And I appreciate you guys coming to support the show. I really do. All right, let's get into this. I love this guy. He's
Diddy himself expected. But the fact remains, he will spend the 4th of July in the same place he's been every day.
Oh, I know you're joking, John. I know that.
September, in the notoriously awful MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. We're going to find out in October how long he'll have to serve for his twin convictions of transportation to engage in prostitution. That is, unless the sentencing hearing is expedited. And we're also going to find out where he's going to spend his time. But we don't have to wait for the nitty-gritty day in and day out details that likely await him wherever he goes. You know why? Because we got Larry Levine. He's here. Larry served 10 years in multiple federal institutions. He now runs Wall Street Prison Consultants, which he founded. Good to see you, Larry.
Can I just go on the record? I hate this guy. I don't really hate anyone, that I don't know. And I mean, even people I don't know and that I should hate, I just pray for. I've said before, my hit list is my prayer list now. I don't have a hit list no more. I just pray. I just pray. And sometimes I have to just pray for them not to be on my hit list, but I just pray for that I can understand my part in it. And, for the reasons why I would dislike somebody or something, but I just really dislike this guy.
Thanks for taking the time.
Maybe I'm jealous. He gets to be on all these.
Wait, you know what? Let's scroll back up. I got your book. I want to tell everybody. You got a new book.
Okay.
Prison Politics 101, Mastering the Art of Survival. We got everybody pick it up. Hope everybody can check it out. Okay.
You know what? I sent a copy of that into Diddy and Luigi, and they returned it and they banned it in the federal prison system because they considered it a threat. They don't.
This guy, he doesn't know anything about real prison politics. So that's probably why I dislike this guy. Look, I'm already, maybe it is jealousy. Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows why I have just an automatic visceral dislike for this guy.
I want people to know what's in there. Yeah.
Wow. I thought, it'd be good. You're giving advice about what it's like, which brings me to my question.
I sent it to Brian Colbert.
Yes,
they let it in there, but it is what it is.
Well, let's see if he signs it and returns it or keeps it. But I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
If Diddy goes to prison, so if he's sentenced to prison, not time served, A, where do you think he's going to serve his time? Do you think it would not be in the MDC? Would it be somewhere else? And how does that compare to where he is now?
Okay, MDC, it's essentially like a jail, a federal jail, where you're inside all the time. You have housing units. There's a common area. There's cells around the wall. People are coming and going because people are getting charged. People are getting released. You're living in close quarters. You go to a real prison, you're going to be going outside. You may have a job. You know, you're going to be doing things. This place here, it's really a, I don't know,
Thank you,
lousy
Nicole. I appreciate
environment.
that.
But there's a big question as to where he's going to go. Some people think he's going to go to a minimum security facility, and other people say he's not eligible. And I agree because it's a sex crime.
Prosecutors, they said in their filing yesterday that it's a crime of violence. We'll see how it goes down when it goes to sentencing. But you know what? Hold
on. I know we're out. We don't have a lot of time. Here's something nobody's pointed out. That judge can hit him what's called relevant conduct, where they could actually sentence and enhance him for things that he either was acquitted of, found not guilty of, based on the conduct of what he did. So he may get more time.
Oh, the judge has a lot of discretion here. You know, there's no minimum. Max is 10. There's been talk about would he even go past the guidelines because you're talking about multiple instances of transportation to engage in prostitution and two victims.
Relevant conduct allows the judge to do that.
Right.
The defense will say he abused his discretion, but he really didn't because the judge has all the discretion he wants.
That's 100%. That's why he's going to need as much information from a pre-investigation report. Let me ask you this. If he goes to prison, if he's sentenced to prison, he was acquitted of racketeering. He was acquitted of sex trafficking, but he was convicted of transportation to engage in prostitution. Does he walk in a king or does he walk in a pariah? How do other inmates look at him if he was acquitted?
Let's see what he says.
You know what? He was acquitted on some charges.
Yeah.
People win. I mean, on multiple counts, people sometimes get things dismissed all the time. Fact is, he's no better than anyone else. He's a convicted felon. But what he's going to face is all these people are going to be sucking up to him.
Yep.
Because of who
he's going to go in as a king.
That he could do something to further their career. You don't know how many people I met on the inside that all said they started Bad Boy Records, Death Row Records. Everybody started Death Row Records. He'll be treated like a king. He'll be treated like a celebrity. But I don't know if people are going to give him high fives for having sex crimes. I don't see that. It's not a popular crime.
Do you think that he needs security, and what would be the level of security for him in there? Any kind of protection?
I believe he'll be just fine when he's in there, and he'll have all the African-American gang members hanging out with him, and maybe he'll put money on their books. He's not going to have any problem at all. Nothing. He'll get along just fine. Even the staff will treat him differently. I'm not worried about him. Luigi's a different story.
Yeah. Luigi's a big different story.
Tomorrow's the holiday, right? July 4th. Inmates, jail, prison, they get anything special on July 4th?
You know what? I was in 11 different federal facilities, and a lot of the ones, they actually did a cook-off where they had barbecues and hamburgers, hot dogs, ribs. Not at every facility, but at some of them. Well, right now, the BOP is out of money. Some of these facilities, they don't even have money for toilet paper. People are going to think I'm lying about this. Some federal facilities are actually tearing up bed sheets. And he's most likely, because the staff, they're going to have a day off tomorrow, probably today, maybe right now. There's people that are putting bag lunches together, maybe some cold cuts with an apple, fruit punch,
for
and
dinner,
some cookies or something. But it's not going to be really a special day. MDC, MCC, all these detention centers, it's like Groundhog Day.
Well, we learned during the trial he likes applesauce in all different kinds of ways. Before I let you go,
he'll trade for it. You know what? He'll trade for it. He'll trade something for more applesauce.
Larry, we got a minute left. I have to ask you this. I was curious, you know, obviously he wants to get out. Obviously he wants no prison time. He wants minimal prison time. What's the level of adjustment, though? If he's been locked up for 9 months and he's going to maybe spend, he gets the best year or 2 years, does he say, I'm already used to it? Do you think he's already adjusted to this life?
Well, he's integrated being in a detention center, but when he hits a regular prison, he's going to have more freedom. So it's kind of going to be like decompression. He'll be able to adapt just fine. I don't think there'll be any issues. He'll meet more people. I mean, there's a good chance wherever he goes, he may already know people.
How come I didn't get a book? I want a book. Larry Levine, good seeing you. Have a great holiday. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download.
Wow, he came in loud. Well, I like him a little bit better than I did before he started. I mean, everything he said was right on. He's going to be a king in there. I've been in places where there've been, famous people, and they get treated different. Everyone, like, oh, so-and-so's here, but then there'll be guys like me and like, it's usually rappers that you see that are famous in there for the most part. And guys like the White, we just don't even care. We don't care who they are, what they did, we care what they did is their crime. But, how famous they are. Nobody cares. They're in there just like us, but they will get treated differently by the staff a little bit. Certain things, autographs, things like that. It's a trip. Let's go into the chat and see if there's any. I don't see any cues or comments or anything. It's just kind of a laid back day today, guys. Just kind of going over the news. So there's a boxer named Cesar Chavez. He is a pretty big name in the boxing world. He was arrested by ICE. And I know we don't have a lot of Trump supporters here, and I don't know how I feel about the roundups either yet. I am about doing it legally, not illegally, but I have a lot of friends that are illegal aliens, and so did my grandmother who was Mexican, and out of respect for her, because I know how she would feel about the roundup. She would be very upset. Because that her friends would be getting rounded up. But when it comes to removing people that are criminals, I don't disagree with that. And I'm sorry about that, but I just don't disagree. We have enough crime. Our jails are full enough without having people come over freely from other countries and commit crimes. I'm sorry about that, but the people that are escaping oppression, I welcome them with open arms. Absolutely. It'd be nice if we had a program, and there've been presidents before the T word, who have had programs after they've come over illegally, and I think we still do have, like, there's some residual stuff that's here that still help those that are already here. And so I do appreciate that our government does do that. But anyways, this guy just had a huge fight on Saturday. I think he took home $500,000, and he did lose, but he is part of the Sinaloa cartel, or he's an affiliate, an associate of the Sinaloa cartel. And I have heard rumor of that before. Just because his name is a big name from the state that he comes from in Sinaloa, and he was arrested.
I want to talk about a major developing story, as just days after finding Jake Paul in the ring, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., the Mexican boxer, was arrested by ICE for deportation in terms of illegally entering the country, but also...
Yes. Trump supporters are absolutely welcome. I am a Trump supporter. I just don't I'm not blindly loyal to all his policies. That's all. But yeah, absolutely. And look, the wall for me is a touchy subject just because of my heritage and because of my family and what my grandmother had done. But everything else I am on board with. And sorry, Nicole, I know we said we weren't going to talk about politics much anymore, but I am a news show. Can he charge for autographs? He absolutely can charge for autographs, and he will charge some for autographs, and he will charge for pictures also, to take pictures with him. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. All right, let's go.
Cartel connections. This you can see right here from the New York Post, as the Mexican boxer Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. arrested by ICE just days after that fight in Anaheim, California. And this is major news, a major name in that game, as he arrested over warrants alleged cartel connections. And this is the post from the Homeland Security saying, on July the 2nd, ICE arrested Mexican boxer and illegal alien Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He is now being processed for expedited removal from the United States. The cartel affiliate has an active arrest warrant in Mexico for his involvement in organized crime. And of course, a lot of people recognize his name based on who his father was and his reputation inside of the ring. And these were the images of him walking in the ring just a few days ago to fight the notable name Jake Paul. So this was somewhat of a shocker. The rest come days after this match in which he lost against Jake Paul in Anaheim, California. The 39-year-old was picked up by a large number of federal agents while he was riding a scooter in front of his home in Studio City, according to Chavez's attorney, saying, quote, the current allegations are outrageous and simply another headline to terrorize the community. The Department of Homeland Security and Immigration detained Chavez for overstaying a tourist visa that expired in February of 2024 after he entered the country in August of 2023.
I was just going to say, why did he get a
Officials
visa?
said he had an active arrest warrant in Mexico for his involvement in organized crime and trafficking firearms, ammunition, and explosives, and is believed to be an affiliate of the cartel. The Associated Press reports the Trump administration said Chavez applied for a green card on April the 2nd, 2024, based on his marriage to a U.S. citizen. Of course, the agency said Chavez has submitted multiple fraudulent statements on his application, which led to his arrest. Chavez had fought just once since 2021 before his bout with Paul on Saturday, having fallen to lows during a lengthy boxing career conducted in the shadow of his father, one of the most beloved athletes in Mexican history. His son, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., had failed drug tests, served suspensions, missed weight, while being widely criticized for his lack of dedication, perceived lack of dedication to the sport. He still rose to heights, winning the WBC middleweight in 2011, defending it 3 times. And after battling drug addiction for long stretches of his career, Chavez went into a rehab clinic and claimed to be clean for the Paul fight. He looked in the best shape of his years while preparing for the match. So again, this is a breaking news event. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Yeah, it's just nuts that, you know, it doesn't matter if you're a criminal and you come in, you're done. You're done for. Thank you so much for the super sticker, AG Gaga. I appreciate that. Yes, all are welcome here. We can all have different views, different outlooks on certain things, and we just hope that we can have respectful conversations. That's all. And I don't make it complicated. You can talk about this, but not that, you know. Definitely no racism and no homophobia. And that's all I ask. It's super simple. And if it happens once, it's not like you'll be banned or kicked out, but just be like, hey, you know, you're kind of walking a line that seems kind of homophobic. I am no arbiter of judgment of anyone on YouTube. But everyone is welcome, and you are definitely surely welcome. I'm not saying that because of the super sticker, but I do appreciate the support. It's greatly needed for the channel, and it helps the algorithm too. All that interaction and what do they call it? Engagement with the channel is really helps the algorithm. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Jr. arrested by ICE, expedited deportation for being in this country, overstaying a visa. And we're following it closely here on Live Now from Fox. Let's line away for another quick 2-minute break.
Yeah, that's just wild. That's just wild. You can see there's a bunch of stories about it. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on it and just say, like, with that deportation, I definitely do support, because if he's an affiliate of the Sinaloa cartel, that's El Chapo's gang organization, and El Chapo is a vicious murderer, right? And if he's got warrants there, that means he did something really bad. Allegedly, definitely innocent until proven guilty, but where there's smoke, there's fire. But to have a warrant in Mexico, that's pretty serious, because they let a lot of shit go in Mexico. Absolutely, 1000%. So yeah, that's pretty serious. Oh man. So yeah, just one last topic. Let's talk about old Carmelo. Old Carmelo is back in the news. His camp, remember the guy that I covered, that his spokesperson, that is the baby shaker, who was hurt kids, who's been convicted of, I don't know, 19, 20 felonies. It still represents that family. And I said before, the biggest thing that family could do would be to get rid of that representation. Absolutely. And they just, they're still holding on to him. But anyways, here's Carmelo. The name of the story is Carmelo Anthony's Camp's Worst Mistakes. And they've been humiliating the victim's father. Remember, the victim's father came into that first press conference and wanted to pray with the family. That would be Austin Metcalf, the victim in this. His dad tried to come pray with the perpetrator's family in a huge move towards him. Just wanted to pray with them, and just that, because he knows that their son is also a child, basically. And let's just watch this little update.
Actually costed Carmelo extra years in prison.
I agree.
So many extra years. You wanted me to expound on that further because you had not heard anyone make that point. Well, that's why I'm here. I'm giving you the perspective, not of a YouTuber reacting to news, but of an attorney who's practiced for more than 20 years.
I absolutely made that point. And I'm sure, I'm just a little YouTuber out here, trying to make it. But that was one of the points I made, was that like, look, the judge and the public opinion means a lot in a case like this, to ask for more money, to apply for an indigent lawyer, to race bait the community, that this has become a racial issue, is what their spokesperson has said, which wasn't happening. When Carmelo gets sentenced, or even with the charges filed, when the deal gets made for Carmelo, which is what he should do, is take a deal to avoid the death penalty and to avoid life without parole. He needs to show compassion to the victim in this, to show remorse. And because he hasn't, instead of, maybe 20 years, he's probably going to get life because of the actions he's done and the representation that he's acquired since the incident. But let's listen to what this lawyer has to say.
Behind the scenes info. So let's get to it. Now, let me explain on how Carmelo's mother basically sentenced her own son Carmelo to an extra 10 to 30 more years in prison, and what she can do about it now to try to fix it. I explained in my last video that Carmelo's mother apparently hired a family spokesperson, one Dominique Alexander. This Dominique calls himself a minister of justice, whatever that is. Dominique is a convicted felon. He's alleged to have beaten his girlfriend. Then he got a new girlfriend. And when that girlfriend left out of the apartment, the good minister grabbed that woman's 2-year-old baby and shook him until that baby got brain damage. The good minister pled guilty in that case to felony charges.
How could you have this guy represent you? I don't care what race you are. I don't care what your politics are or how you believe this went down, or even if you think it's you think it is about race. How could you have this con man abuser represent you and your family and take all that money? That was not all of it, but I'm sure that because they provided security when he was bailed out, they found someone to bail him out. I found out it wasn't even the family that paid for the bail. And now, you have this guy still representing you, still out there having these little mini press conferences on Instagram and X, which formerly Twitter. And I just am just blown away that they still have this guy representing him. Let's listen.
And was in prison. Now, this is the man that Carmelo's mom chose to speak on Carmelo and the family's behalf. The good baby shaking minister. The minister did exactly what you would expect a convicted felon to do when handling Carmelo's case. He absolutely destroyed it. How? He ostracized the most important person in Carmelo's case. Now,
absolutely. And I did a video on this about a month ago. And where is it at? If you go up there to the right-hand side of the video, I will drop a link to that video.
Now, who is that? Is that the judge? No. Is that the prosecutor? No. The most important person alive in Carmelo's case is actually Jeff Metcalf, the father of the young man that Carmelo Anthony killed, Austin Metcalf. The father, Jeff Metcalf, is the linchpin to Carmelo's entire future. Let me tell you that in a murder case where the victim is gone, the case lives on through the victim's next of kin. When a parent has to bury his child, everyone looks to that.
It really helps the channel to grow bigger and better and more diverse. Not that weird, creepy kind of government diverse. I'll Samsplain it for you if you want. You want to hear some Samsplaining? Just like the video down below.
Parent to gauge how to react. Judges consciously and subconsciously look at the parent's facial expression when they're testifying on the witness stand. Prosecutors run all their plea offers through the parents. Reporters knock on the parents' doors for statements, and they aim their cameras at the parents when the verdicts drop. And the jurors, oh my goodness, the jurors hang on every word of the parents. Notice every little movement, every gesture. In this case, Jeff Metcalf, the father, is not just a spectator in the case. He's the conscience of the entire community. If you win Jeff, you win all the sympathy. But if you alienate him, you can go to prison for life. Now, months ago, Jeff Metcalf, the father, he did something unthinkable.
That's exactly what I said before. It's unbelievable. This guy definitely said it in less words than I did. Of course, I Samsplained it. I can't wait to make those shirts. I need to get my website back up and running, but I just can't afford it right now. Let's listen.
Reporters, as they always do, shoved a microphone in this grieving father's face and asked him, how do you feel about this Carmelo Anthony? Do you know what he said? Jeff Metcalf said, and I quote, "You know what? I've already forgiven this person. Already." Now, that is amazing. It's amazing that Jeff would have the strength to do that, because I would be incapable of that. The maturity, the wisdom, the strength, I just would not have it. Now, that baby shaking minister is not going to know this, but when a father makes a statement like that, a statement of forgiveness, the entire Carmelo team has to drop everything. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Your entire legal strategy has to change. I can tell you as an attorney that you call an emergency meeting with all the lawyers, all the family, maybe PR consultants if the family has means for that. You bring everyone together to get them on the same page and let them know that this case will revolve around one person, Jeff Metcalf, the father. So when Carmelo's mother heard what Jeff said about her son, what do you think that this lady did? She handed the microphone at a press conference to the baby shaking minister of justice. And at that press conference where Jeff Metcalf showed up to pray with the family, the baby shaking minister called the police and had Jeff kicked out. Like, can you believe it? They kicked Jeff Metcalf, who came there to pray. They kicked him out of the press conference. The entire spectacle went viral within an hour. And do you know what else? Carmelo Anthony's prison sentence was prolonged by 10 to 25 years within that same hour. Now, why do I say that? What did the family show Jeff in that instance? Jeff, the father. They showed Jeff that there was no remorse. They showed Jeff that there would be no mutual prayers. There would be no reconciliation. Showed that man nothing but hostility and aggression. The same hostility, the same aggression maybe that was at that track meet that fateful afternoon, that was under that tent. So
let me just say too, and maybe I need to do a story on this, but it's come out that the Anthony family have been allegedly been making and producing these fake TikTok interactions where they have a guy come on and it says they're Jeff Metcalf and he uses the N-word and, and is yelling and screaming at people. And Jeff has shown no behavior like that whatsoever. And they're just the clips just blow me away. We've just had so much other news with John O'Keefe, justice for John O'Keefe after the Karen retrial. And just news stories like the Diddy verdict and things like that I haven't been able to cover it yet. But if it's something that you guys would be interested, just let me know. It's beyond understanding and Time Out Humanity definitely is called it. They're just sociopaths. They have to be. Now, clinically, are they sociopaths? Who knows? Like I'm not one to diagnose. I don't know the DSM that well any longer, not since the 90s when it was the 3. Now it's like the 5. But it's definitely sociopathic behavior, just the lack of remorse. So let's
some of you are not going to appreciate how important this father is. You just don't know how these criminal sentences work. I see your comments on YouTube and Twitter. You think, oh, this person killed that person, so put the killer in prison and throw away the key. Put him there for life. That's what you guys say. You have no idea. I will tell you that people kill people all the time, and the sentences range from insanity on the low end to insanity on the high end. Now, who controls where the sentence is going to fall? At the end of the day, it is the sentiment of the community that will decide. And in this case, Jeff Metcalf is at the center of that entire community. Now, let's do this. Let's suppose it is your first day of law school, and I am your criminal law professor. I'm going to tell you some quick facts, and you tell me the sentence that you would give in this scenario if you were the jury, if you were the judge. But first, and this is important, put right now for the record what you think Carmelo should be sentenced to in the comments. Put it below. Now, here is the quiz. I want everybody to take it. Here's the first case, 4 cases. A 16-year-old in Texas, basically the same age and state of Carmelo. He gets hammered, consuming alcohol, consuming drugs. He does the whole thing. He gets behind the wheel of a vehicle. Of course, he gets into an accident. Now, here's the thing. He kills 4 people. He intentionally gets hammered and gets cooked, and then he takes 4 lives. Now, little law student of mine, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to determine how many years in prison you would give him. Ready? Go. And while you are considering your sentence, just know that in this case, the affluenza case, if you're old enough to remember, this young man, he took 4 lives. But how many years did the judge give him? Well, the judge gave him 10 years for taking 4 lives. 10 years. But here's the kicker. It wasn't 10 years of prison. The judge gave him 10 years of straight probation. This man took 4 lives and got a straight probationary sentence. Not 1 day in prison. Did you guess it? Did you guess 0 years? Now, here is the second of 4 scenarios. A football player gets hammered just the same. He gets into his Bentley, he's an NFL player, and starts speeding. Of course, he runs over a guy, kills him dead. How many years in prison did this NFL player get for the killing? Now, the victim is gone forever. You got 5 seconds to guess. How many years? And while you are considering how many years, all you football fans know that Mike Vick, the quarterback of the great Atlanta Falcons, got 2 years in prison for dog fighting. That's 2 years in prison for dogs. How many years did this NFL player get for actually killing a man? That's right. Dante Stallworth gets hammered, gets in his car, and kills a man in the street. He gets 30 days in the county jail. No prison at all. Just 30 days in jail. Mike Vick gets 2 years in prison for dogs. Now, my little law student, you ask, well, how can that be? What happened in that case?
I really like this guy.
Dante Stallworth showed extreme remorse. He apologized. And most importantly, he reached a financial settlement with the family. Dante went into his pocket and got the family on his side. Now, let me ask you, did Carmelo Anthony's family do that? Dante slid the victim's family some money. Carmelo Anthony's family got over $500,000. Did Carmelo's mom do any of that? Did the mom even offer to pay for the funeral? Guys, I'm going to tell you, you do not know there are so many levels to criminal law. Now, 2 more quizzes to go. You're my law student and you are guessing these sentences, but there are a few of you that are listening, maybe 4 to 6, that are going to get an A in my class. You're going to be the A students. You're going to say, well, Professor Lead, I can distinguish those cases. In both of those cases, yes, the defendants did kill their victims, but it really wasn't intentional because they were under the influence and they were driving. The Carmelo Anthony case is different. It was not vehicular. It was with a knife. There was direct violence. Now, if you thought of that, then you would get an A in my class. That's a great point. So let me give you a case that is a little closer to home. Now, let's take a pause from this Carmelo Anthony insanity for a second to have a quick word from our sponsor, Chapter Medicare. If someone you love is on Medicare, this matters. The Department of Ash Chapter dumpster fire. A guy gets mad at his wife, and rightly so. He thinks that she's cheating on him. He goes and loads up his shotgun. He goes outside where she's standing. Now, she's unarmed, and she's recording him on her phone. He cocks the shotgun and points it directly at her teeth. He says, all right, goodbye. You are going to meet Jesus. And then he blows her away. She was unarmed and in Texas. Do you know who else was unarmed? Do you know who else was in Texas? That's right, Anthony Metcalf, Carmelo's victim. Now, the jury in the case with the husband gave that man just 10 years in prison, and he is eligible for parole after only 5 years. Think about it, 5 years in prison for a straight up killing. One of you would have said, lock him up for life, lock him up forever.
Sorry, guys, I didn't know my video went out.
Now you ask, well, Professor Lead, why so little time? The defense team in that case did a great job humanizing the husband. The jury on his side. The jury didn't hate the killer. In Carmelo's case, do you think Carmelo, if Austin's father pleaded with the jury for mercy, pleaded with the jury, praying and reconciling, listening to Jeff's victim, would be crying, the bailiffs would be crying, the attorneys would be crying, the jury. the end of the day, we are all human. Carmelo would have been spared. He would have not gotten a lot of time. You can absolutely get a judge and jury know how to do it. Now, and this is the last case, and this is for all of my A students. Let's go back to the vehicular homicide cases. You think that you can get off easy. Remember when you thought, oh, well, it's because the guy who killed 4 people was driving. That's why he got 0 years in prison. Okay, that guy killed 4 people. What about a guy that killed 6 people in his car at a parade? You've got 5 seconds to consider how many years this guy would get for killing 6 people. If the first years in prison for killing 4 people, how many years in prison did this guy get for killing 6 people? All right, you got your answer? Don't you know that this guy got 1,000 years? 1,000. They calculated it out to like 1,067 years. He got 6 life sentences and an additional 760 years for the people that he hurt with his car. Now, how do you go from 0 to 1,000? Well, this guy got every single person in the community to hate him.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember that trial, but it was pretty crazy. Sorry, guys, I lost connection to my camera. I don't know what's going on with it. It's a camera that I've had for a really long time that I just decided to start using, and I just don't have a backup camera hooked up. But yeah, so I mean, I guess you can see it all really stems on how you show remorse after, you know, the crime, and especially when there's so much guilt, and they're never going to win a self-defense case, and if they had a chance of winning that self-defense case, it's definitely not going to happen now, but just by the way they've reacted since the event. Well, guys, I don't want to continue the show with my avatar, and I apologize for my camera. Don't worry, I will get it all figured out. What, my sound is bad? Yeah, I think my computer I'm losing resources. So why don't we just call it a day, guys? Thank you so much for the 2 super chats, Shannon Trim and AG Agaga. Thank you so much for the super chats. I really appreciate you guys. Remember, happy 4th of July, and remember to be kind when you're out there. And if you see anything going on, you see people that look like their head is hung down low, just say, hey, excuse me, are you okay? I just want to let you know, man, that, you know, you're not alone, whatever. I know sometimes it can be a little weird to do that with strangers, but sometimes it really makes someone's day, and you might just save someone's life. And I don't think that's a grandiose statement. I really do. I really think you can save someone's life with just a pleasant comment, or sometimes maybe even just a hello, how are you doing? So anyways, guys, you guys all have an amazing day. I know I am going to spend some time with the Sam fam, and maybe I'll see you guys tonight. If not, I'll for sure see you guys tomorrow. Have a happy 4th.
Stay loud. Don't be woke. Stay wild. Stay away.